The idea of a spectacle that exploits people with severe physical deformities and abnormalities, better known as a freak show, has existed for centuries. These shows gained momentum in the 1800s, traveling town to town with lurid banners showcasing supposed mistakes of nature. After paying, spectators entered dimly lit tents to stare in horror and amusement at those born different. These individuals with deformed or missing limbs were labeled as freaks. Many had already faced rejection from family. Some were sent by parents to earn money. Others simply had no other way to find work or acceptance. Here are the 15 circus freaks that actually existed. Number 15, the Black Scorpion. This sideshow act sounds way more extreme than it actually is. Known as the Black Scorpion, or Lobster Boy, this claw-handed performer is one of the rare cases who brings a genuinely positive shift to the freak show world. Rather than being a victim of exploitation, he's flipping the entire narrative. In 2008, he joined Coney Island's sideshows by the seashore and even got spotlighted on TLC's Taboo. Unlike most sideshow performers, Lobster Boy uses his condition as a source of empowerment. He's reshaping public perception of disability and individuality. Instead of hiding his difference, he owns it, completely and without apology. That alone secures him a unique place among freak show legends. Not because he's bizarre, but because he reclaimed his image. He doesn't perform out of shame or obligation. He does it to show others, especially kids with disabilities, that they're not broken. He's rewriting the rules and reminding the world that visibility isn't weakness, it's power in plain view. And he is also selling his hand. Number 14, Kitty Smith. Unlike many sideshow performers born with rare conditions, Kitty Smith's affliction was the result of cruelty. In 1891, at just 9 years old, she refused to make dinner for her drunken dad. In response, he pressed her arms against a burning stove until the damage was irreversible. Both limbs were amputated. Kitty became a ward of the state, while her dad dodged prison for lack of proof. Dr. F.M. Gregg, moved by her story, started a fund to support her education. Under guidance, Kitty adapted swiftly. She learned to write, paint, embroider, and even play piano, all using her feet. When funding dried up, she supported herself by performing at Coney Island and touring with Ringling Brothers and Barnum. She also sold her artwork and autobiography. In her memoir, Kitty famously forgave her father and rewrote her past, claiming her injuries were caused by an accidental fire. That revision said more about her resilience than any sideshow act ever could. Number 13, Isaac W. Sprag. Also known professionally as the Thin Man, the Living Skeleton, and the Skeleton Man, Isaac W. Sprag was born without fanfare in Massachusetts, USA in 1841. His illness began at age 12, marked by severe cramps after a swim. Despite having a hearty appetite, Sprag rapidly lost weight from then on. In his 20s, both parents deceased and unable to perform physical labor, Sprag joined the circus in 1865, then Barnum's American Museum the following year. Before the rise of Thin Man and Fat Lady acts, Sprag left Barnum, married Tamar Moore, and fathered 3 healthy sons. Born free, he was never forced into circus life, but with a disability and family to support, he had few choices. Alongside growing debt, poor health, and gambling, he rejoined the circus. Diagnosed with progressive muscular dystrophy, he sold his body to Harvard for $1,000. Folklore says he lost a $250 death bet before dying at 43 pounds. The New York Times marked his death in January 1887. Number 12, Felix Vera. Felix wasn't ordinary by any measure. From a young age, he realized his body could do things others couldn't imagine. His skin stretched effortlessly, like rubber pulled from old gum. But that wasn't all. Felix could bend his limbs completely backward without discomfort, an ability that left even seasoned skeptics speechless. It wasn't an illusion. It wasn't performance. It was as if his body had bypassed every anatomical law. Doctors who examined him suspected a rare genetic disorder now known as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which causes hyperflexible joints and stretchy skin. Instead of hiding his condition, Felix chose to embrace it. He toured widely, mesmerizing crowds in museums and sideshows. His most iconic stint was with the legendary Ringling Brothers Circus, where his surreal contortions made him a crowd favorite. But just as Felix astonished audiences with his unnatural flexibility, another performer was about to challenge everything people thought they knew, redefining the concept of small on a truly global stage. Number 11. Pickled punks. The name sounds almost ridiculous, like a punk band dumped in a vat of acid, but the reality is far more disturbing. Pickled punks were unborn or stillborn human fetuses preserved in glass jars filled with formaldehyde. These preserved remains were featured in freak shows and touted as grotesque marvels that blurred the line between science and spectacle. The idea of using preserved human specimens dates back to the 1600s, when King Frederick III of Denmark reportedly kept an extensive collection. Later, Italian naturalist Ulisse Aldrovandi built an astonishing archive of over 18,000 specimens, many of them human deformities. As horrifying as it sounds today, pickled punks were once crowd pullers for decades. They weren't just disturbing, they were deeply polarizing and ethically haunting. Yet that's exactly why people came. Curiosity always overrides discomfort, and this exhibit was possibly the freak show's darkest trick. Not just a violation of dignity, but a fascination that still raises eyebrows centuries later. Number 10. Voleta. Voleta was born with tetra amelia syndrome, which left her without arms or legs. Still, she was remarkably agile, able to perform tasks most would consider impossible. She combed her hair, sewed garments, and even threaded needles without assistance. Despite her condition, the rest of her body was flawless. In fact, some said her senses were even more refined than average. She occasionally performed under the title, the Armless and Legless Venus, astonishing crowds with her elegance and control. Her physical beauty intrigued doctors, who frequently commented on the symmetry and perfection of her body. After the show, a nurse would carry her across the stage, allowing spectators to gently touch her in astonishment. While Voleta's story spoke to grace found within limitation, the next tale unraveled into something far more haunting. A riddle wrapped in obsession that would slowly consume one man's sanity and spiral into a personal nightmare neither audience nor performer would ever forget. Number 9. The Alligator-Skinned Man. Emmett Bajano, famously known as the Alligator-Skinned Man, was born in Florida with ichthyosis, a rare condition that covered his body in rough, scale-like skin. Only his face and hands were smooth, giving him an unforgettable appearance. Emmett joined the sideshow circuit, where he met Priscilla, called the Monkey Girl, who worked for the Lothar organization. Their connection grew quickly, and they married in 1938. Together, they built a life both on stage and off. Priscilla gave birth to a daughter who sadly died of pneumonia shortly after. Later, they adopted a son, Tony, and continued touring, branding themselves as the world's strangest married couple. They ran their own show, traveled extensively, and became icons of circus life. Their marriage lasted 57 years until Emmett's passing on May 14, 1995. Priscilla passed away on February 5, 2001. Emmett had been adopted by Johnny Bahano after his biological father passed away, completing a life marked by rarity, resilience, and enduring love. Number 8. The Stalking Cat. There are cat people, there are dog people, and then there are those who fully transform into the animal they feel closest to. Dennis Aer, of Native American heritage, believed the tiger was his totem spirit. When choosing a spiritual identity, he named himself the Stalking Cat. After serving in the U.S. Navy and becoming a computer programmer, Avner began altering his appearance to reflect the tiger within. He underwent multiple surgeries to reshape his ears and face, including implants for whiskers. He sharpened his nails into claws, tattooed tiger stripes across his body, and wore feline contact lenses. He even replaced his teeth with fangs. Known as the Cat Man, Avner featured in documentaries, television shows, and live acts in Las Vegas. He once said, "I am probably one of the more recognizable people in the world, but my fame has not brought me fortune." Diagnosed with body dysmorphia and living in a trailer in Tonopah, Nevada, Avner tragically died by suicide in 2012 at age 54. Number 7. Space Cowboy. As a kid growing up in Australia, Shane Holtgren learned to ride a unicycle and started rolling through town, catching attention. People were so entertained, they began tossing money his way. Realizing the potential, he dedicated his life to mastering crowd-stopping stunts. Today, he's known globally as Space Cowboy, and he's earned 5 Guinness World Records for some of the wildest sideshow acts imaginable. His accolades include juggling chainsaws while riding a unicycle, lifting the heaviest weight using hooks through his eye sockets, swallowing the most swords underwater, throwing the most knives at a target in a minute, and extinguishing the most blowtorches with his tongue in under 60 seconds. It's jaw-dropping just to read that list, let alone witness it live. The level of precision and danger in each act is unmatched. Number 6. Eli Bowen. While Myrtle stunned the world with 4 legs, another performer shattered expectations with none at all. Eli, born in 1844 with a rare condition called focal congenital deformity, had feet attached directly to his pelvis. Rather than letting this limit him, Eli trained hard and redefined what his body could do. From early childhood, he developed powerful upper body strength and incredible balance. By age 13, he joined the sideshow scene, quickly earning the name the Legless Acrobat. His performances were breathtaking, walking on his hands, executing flips, even riding horses. Crowds were amazed, especially during high-wire stunts where only his arms held him steady. But Eli's life wasn't just about the spotlight. He was a devoted husband and father, showing that disability didn't block love or stability. Though he became a sensation across the circus world, those who knew him remembered him for something deeper than spectacle. His unshakable willpower, resilience, and the pride with which he lived every moment. Number 5. Joyce Heth. The very first human exhibit that catapulted P.T. Barnum's career was a woman named Joyce Heth, who he claimed was 161 years old. Barnum had received a letter from another showman, R.W. Lindsay of Kentucky, describing Joyce in detail. Intrigued, Barnum met her. She was blind, with eyes deeply recessed into her skull, giving her a ghost-like ancient appearance. She frequently spoke about nursing George Washington. In his memoir, Barnum claimed he paid $1,000 to purchase her. This was the 1830s. Slavery was still legal in the U.S. He paraded her along the East Coast, from major cities to tiny rural inns, concert halls, and museums. Her appearance was so uncanny that one newspaper speculated she might be an automaton. When she died in 1836, doctors revealed she was only 80. Still, over 1,500 people paid to watch her autopsy. Even after being deceived, the public kept showing up. For Barnum, shock sold better than truth. Number 4. Frances O'Connor. This elegant woman was born without arms and learned to master life using only her feet. She ate, drank, wrote, and even sewed with astonishing precision and grace. At just 15, she joined the Ringling Brothers Circus, performing under her mother's supervision, who also acted as her manager. Though Ringling was the biggest circus of its era, Frances started her journey in Wyoming, first appearing with the Barn Circus, then the Sells Floto and Cole Brothers shows. During this time, she was nicknamed the Living Venus de Milo, a tribute to both her strength and elegance. Her act showcased daily tasks people took for granted: drinking wine, cutting steak, writing letters, all with her feet. Audiences watched in awe as she lit cigarettes and smoked casually, without hesitation. Eventually, she retired, feeling she'd outgrown the idea of settling down. Frances passed away in Long Beach in 1982 at the age of 67 with dignity. Number 3. Daisy and Violet Hilton. Born conjoined at the pelvis in Brighton, England in 1908, Daisy and Violet Hilton were the first recorded conjoined twins in the UK to survive beyond infancy. Raised by their biological mother's abusive employer, Mary Hilton, the girls began performing at age 3. Upon Mary's death, they were passed to her daughter, who continued the family tradition of mistreatment, this time across America. In 1931, Daisy and Violet finally earned their freedom, performing in vaudeville and burlesque, later starring in Freaks, 1931, and Chained for Life, 1952. Decades later, as public interest declined, their tour manager abandoned them, penniless, after a final show at a North Carolina drive-in in 1961. With no means to leave, the sisters settled into modest jobs as grocery clerks. 8 years later, they were found deceased in their home after missing work. Daisy died first, likely of Hong Kong flu, followed by Violet days later. Though their lives were exploited, they died not as freaks, just as sisters. Number 2. Annie Jones. Becoming America's most renowned bearded lady in adulthood, Annie was pulled into circus life before reaching her first birthday. A near-lifelong performer with P.T. Barnum's traveling circus, Jones became one of the showman's most recognized freaks. Aware she was being unfairly portrayed, Jones objected to the title freak and, acting as a spokesperson for her similarly labeled peers, pushed for the removal of the word altogether. Popular in royal courts, taverns, and fairgrounds, freak shows had existed since the 1500s. Though Barnum didn't invent the term, Jones's protests did little to discourage its use. Likely caused by hirsutism, Jones's facial hair was well kept and never deterred admirers. She married Richard Elliott, a sideshow barker, at 15, and later divorced him to marry William Donovan, her childhood love. They toured briefly before Donovan's sudden death. With few options, Jones returned to Barnum's tent and died of tuberculosis before 40, still remembered as one of his greatest acts. Number 1. Francesco Lentini. Francesco Lentini, was technically one half of a conjoined twin, though his twin was incomplete, just a leg and a set of genitals attached to Francesco's lower back. Raised in a crowded Sicilian home with 12 siblings, his condition shocked everyone. The midwife was reportedly so horrified that she hid him under the bed and ran. Doctors examined him but concluded surgery was far too dangerous. A defining moment came when Francesco visited a center for disabled children. There, he saw others facing even greater challenges. It gave him perspective and pride. Rather than hide, he stepped into the spotlight. For over 40 years, he performed with major circuses, including Barnum's and Coney Island. Audiences didn't just come to see the third leg, they came for his charisma and sharp wit. He became a beloved figure in the sideshow world, earning admiration and respect. In fact, he was so popular that people simply called him what he was: the King. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you soon in the next one.